Thank you very much, Pyra. Always nice to hear from Power of Evil. First time in the LCS, but we've heard from him at IM San Jose already.
I'm a fan.
You're a fan. I'm objective, but it was definitely nice to see them play.
I could be subjective.
You can certainly say that. Talk to me about picks and bans in this one. We had Thresh, Hecarim, Janna, Rek'Sai, Sejuani, Xerath. Not the most normal of ban faces.
Yeah, so let's take a look at Gambit. They take away the Thresh from Hylissang, that's good. Then they analyze in themselves, okay, Janna's the second best champion, let's take that away. Okay, but then you opt for the Annie, which leads up to Leona as a counter pick. And in my opinion, a Leona that plays well, and especially when you get the Grump advantage, should always beat an Annie lane. I think Hylissang could even min-max more in that matchup, being he could find a little few windows where he can actually abuse the matchup. But other than that, I really want to give props to Hylissang's Leona play. It was absolutely stellar. Once they started snowballing, he was making picks together, and especially in synergy with his teammates. Every time Power of Evil opened up with a stun, Hylissang would follow up, do predict Zenith Blades in the odd chance that there was a Kassadin going out or Graves dashing out. That's why he was always predicting those Zenith Blades forward. Basically, either they hit and the guy dies, or they don't hit and the guy dies anyways. And he was playing really well with that Leona, and I just want to give props for that. I really hope he trains it a little more in the lane. I think he could have killed Edward maybe once or twice, and then they ended up backing off and basically getting their AD carry blown up. But other than that, they did well, and that shows. You know, Gambit, you ban out two supports and you force him on a uncomfortable champion, and you end up losing the lane, and that shouldn't happen.
No, you do have a replay as well of that early phases of the game, the bot lane dives. Let's get that up on the screen so we can take a look at that. You were saying the whole time, they should go in now, they should go in now. Yeah,
basically, before we roll the clip, I just want to highlight Edward's flashes down, and that basically means that they can at any given point flash in or just ult in with Leona. And we have Syndra coming down as well, so this is really good. Power of Evil is translating his advantage from the mid lane to the bot lane. He'll never kill Cass in 1v1, but he can roam. At the same time, I want to highlight that Gambit did well is communicate, because they get the first TP down and Cassian follows. Let's roll the clip right now, and we can see what happens. So they correctly identified Pinoy is only left under the tower. Edward's all the way out of position. Good job waiting for the ulti before Graves dashes. Power of Evil comes in, but here is Cabochard with the TP, followed by Vizichashi. He's very close to going to Mega Gnar. Good stun by Eddie, still like delaying the all-in, because this buys him enough time, and Vardox goes low enough for Kassadin to pick up that return kill. So I just want to highlight that this is a play that was played well from both sides. I think Eddie backed off a little bit too far initially. Left Pinoy actually on his own. Pinoy did the right thing. You can dash mid-stun from Leona and hopefully to dodge the ulti. Hylissang in return did the right thing by waiting for that dash, not missing his stun on the tower as some certain Krepo players do sometimes, and then actually landing the ulti spot on and really good target calling. They knew Cassiopeia was coming, so they didn't finish the dive. They waited for her to come, waited for the ulti, turned back again. I just want to give props to both teams here. This was good play.
Wow, so much praise for both teams. That's
exactly.
Really cool. You also had something to say about Edward and picking people off with his vision control at some times in the game.
Yeah, like I really respect Eddie as a support, but a couple of times he actually was really unlucky this game, because 5.1 recently changed that wards survive a little longer, and it was really sad to see every time he placed the ward, just barely Unicorns of Love would pick that off with either an auto attack reset on Leona and then another hit, and it just shows that Unicorns of Love are just working as a team. Like they're attacking wards together. Even these small wins allow them to choke out the vision from Gambit and then create picks because of that. We have Leona opening first and Power of Evil following up. We have Power of Evil going up first, Leona following up. We have the tank presence of Gnar and Jarvan, which is really, if you have this AoE blow them up comp, it's really good to have this tank presence that can draw some attention until somebody missteps, and that was something Gambit was lacking. They had Kassadin to punish missteps, they had Annie to punish missteps, they had Cassio to punish missteps, but they didn't have any tank to really draw the attention, keep people in range for that to happen, and you saw really how well Unicorns of Love abuse that fact.
Absolutely. We have actually one final replay where Unicorns of Love show that their synergy is on point. They know exactly when to go in. Let's get that up on the screen. There was only one team fight I think they lost, but all the rest they executed.
Yeah, in the end they actually got turned on by the Cassiopeia ult, and you can see how well they respect it, right? So they're at Dragon right now. We can roll the clip, and they don't prioritize the objective. They basically use it as bait. They know Gambit's coming in, so they go on Diamond, they want to take him out, don't have the 50-50 smite, and look at Vizichachi, just flashes in, puts people in the wall, Hylissang follows up, and he doesn't even have time to use a stun. They back off to the Dragon. Gambit is still being like lured in. They shouldn't like go for this anymore because they're so desperate to land that money Cassiopeia ulti. But Nick overextends right now. You see there's no tank drawing the aggro on Unicorns of Love. Sure, they land the 4-man Cassiopeia ulti, but it's too late because they have to invest too much HP to get close enough to make that happen, in a sense. Sure, if they snowball, they can do that all game, but if they ever get behind, their front line will just get blown up before they can even get in position to, like, use that wombo combo.
Yeah, for me, one thing coming into this one for the Unicorns of Love were some question marks. They have those oddball picks sometimes, but here it really shows that they have both the individual class and the team play, but it was only the first game, of course.
Yeah, okay, this is game 1, and we'll have to see whether this is all they have, whether they have more in store, or whether they can come back from behind. But for me, they played well this game. Their draft was super well thought out. They had Gnar Jarvan on first rotation. They answered the Annie pick with a Leona. They filled out Sivir, and then they hovered the Orianna. That's actually the last thing I want to highlight is Orianna would have been great in this to comp, like, thematically, right? You have Gnar and Jarvan going in, and you could put the ball on them, and then ulti. But then they were smart enough to think, like, we actually don't need that. We can just start making the picks with the Syndra and then just have everybody else follow up instead of setting Jarvan and Gnar in and then using the Orianna ulti. And you saw the little extra spice from the Syndra in the early game allowed them to snowball mid, allowed them to roam and make picks left and right. So I like the switch that they didn't go for Ori and ended up playing Syndra, even though she's nerfed on 5.1.
Yep. Definitely worked out for them on that one. With the season fully underway, let's take a look at who raked in the most fantasy points today. The Day 1 fantasy leader with 10 kills, a KDA of 22, and 2 double kills for a whopping 42 points in his LCS debut is Fnatic's mid laner, Fabivin. Great performance from him and from the entire team today.
Yeah, he did really well.
There's actually not much to say about that.
Nah, I really
performance.
Actually, just going back to the Fnatic game.
No, you're not allowed to talk. No,
okay, I'm done. Okay, I really want to say Fnatic played forward so well, you know? That's the one thing if you don't have a tank. Everybody dove in and people were wondering, is Fabivin going to get blown up on Zeref? No, he just stood back and basically immediately launched every ulti every time Fnatic CC'd somebody. It was beautiful to see the way strategically Fnatic played in that match.
Yep. And as we wrap up the day, let's pull up the standings with 5 matches down in the 2015 Spring Split. Here is how the teams stack up. Half of the teams are tied with 1 win, while the rest have a loss each after the first day of the season. And while looking at that table, the Copenhagen Wolves on top with Fnatic and Giants. And then at the bottom of the table, Meteor Makers, H2K, and Rocket. H2K will especially be beating themselves up, I think, after that one here today.
Yeah, they definitely basically threw the game, you know. They had a team fight composition that snowballed a little bit, but they were actually better at split pushing than their adversaries, and they should have basically kept the map open, used those side lanes to get the victory. But impressive that Copenhagen Wolves came back in that game.
Yeah, another big one was, of course, Elements suffering a defeat from Fnatic, who played fantastically, but that's all going to change tomorrow with 5 more games beginning with Meteor Makers versus SK, and the new Fnatic will face off against H2K. Then we'll wrap up the week in Europe with the Unicorns of Love versus Elements. Those matches all start at 6 p.m. Central European Time. That's 9 a.m. Pacific, so don't miss it. And that is all for day 1 of the 2015 season here in Berlin. On behalf of myself, Krepo, and the entire broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.